Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at some review questions, and then we'll get into a new lesson. So 7-1, solving 1 and 2 step equations. Let's review from last week. Let's look at problem number 1 and 2. Give you guys some time to solve it on your own, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the first problem, x is equal to 12. We're going to add 3 to both sides. And number 2, you're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Y is on the right side of the equation. That's totally fine. Even if you're getting 5 is equal to y, that's not a problem. If you like to change that, to y is equal to 5 at the end, you can. But if you have your variable on the right side and the number on the left of the equation, that's fine. You could leave it like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some concepts that are really important for you to understand and to be comfortable with. We're looking at 5 over 2 times 2 over 5. These are what we call the reciprocals of one another. So 5 over 2, when you flip it, 2 over 5 is the reciprocal. And when you multiply two reciprocal fractions, you're always going to get 1 as the answer. Oops. Okay, there we go. 1 is the answer. So your answer will be 1. It's not recording. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, seems like our glitch is okay now. So we get 1 as the answer. And the way you could also look at this is if you cross simplify. That's a really good thing to know how to do. Cross simplifying means that when you're multiplying two fractions, you can cross the numbers out if they go into each other. So 5 and 5 divide out and make them cross out. And so there's 2 and 2 here. So they all, go into each other once. 5 goes into 5 one time, and so does this one. And 2 goes into 2 once, and so does this one. So 1 is your final answer. The shortcut is, of course, you see a reciprocal. Here's a fraction, 1/2 times 2 over 1. These two are reciprocals of each other, and you automatically know that answer is 1. Even if you have negatives, that's not a problem. As long as it's the same fraction, you can either cross simplify them or see that, oh, this is negative 6 over 8 times 8 over negative 6. That's equal to 1. So this is a good concept to make sure that you are clear about here. Fraction times its reciprocal is equal to 1. So any fraction times its reciprocal is equal to 1. Please make sure you write that down and know that for future reference. Okay, this one, I didn't number these, but that's okay. So we're looking at 9 times 1 over 18. When you have a whole number and you're multiplying it, or an integer rather, if you're multiplying about 1 over another, like a fraction, which is 1 over 18 in this case, you can cross simplify this as well. When you cross simplify, you can see that 9 and 18 go into each other. 9 goes into 9 once, and it goes into 18 twice. So you are actually left with 1 over 2. See, this 1 over 2 is what you're left with. 1 right here over 2. This 1 over here, you could consider it's just 1 times 1, right, over 2. So the final answer here would be 1/2. And there you go. So some of you would be like, why don't we just multiply? Like here you have 9 times 1 over 18. And you might be thinking, why don't I just multiply 9 times 1, which is 9, and then there's nothing underneath 9. You can even put a 1 there if you like. And 18 times 1 is 18, and that would be also 1/2. Sure, you could do that, but this is the shortcut. This is what I want you to learn to benefit from having math skills, powerful math skills. So please make sure that you are understanding this and use it. So let's look at this one here. 4 times 7 over 4. Once you use it a couple times, you'll get the hang of this. So when you're multiplying an integer by a fraction, you can look at it and say, well, do these have anything, can they cancel out, or can they get simplified? Sure they can. 4 and 4 cancels out, and there you go. The answer is 7. So you don't have to go through the whole process of multiplying 7 times 4, get 28, divide that by 4, and then get 7 again. You don't need to do that. That's something that you don't want to have to always worry about. Okay, so let's look at the next one here. That's going to be 16 over 5 times 5 over 8. And that here, we can see right away that these two 5s can cancel out. And then this is 1, right? Because 8 goes into 8 once, but it goes into 16 twice. So our answer is 2. See, it's so much nicer to know how to cross simplify and be able to manage fractions and integers using that cross simplifying technique. So let's go ahead and look at this definition. When multiplying fractions, cross simplify first. And I would definitely write this down and understand that that relates to these 3 right here, 1, 2, 3, right? And this fraction times its reciprocal. We did do cross simplifying here as well, but knowing that you've got a reciprocal happening right away, your answer is equal to 1. So I would definitely look at these as important concepts to recognize and to use on a regular basis. And let's look at problem number 3. Problem number 3, we will be using the concepts that we just learned, the little techniques that we learned. So we have k over 4 is equal to negative 24, right? So what we have to do here is we're seeing that we're going to multiply. So because 4 is being divided by k, what we're going to do is the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So we're going to multiply 4, right, by both sides. Once you multiply 4 here, you notice that 4 times k over 4, you can cross simplify that. So whatever we do on this side, we must do to this side. So I can see right here that I can cross simplify these two, and I'll get k by itself. That's k, right? And that's negative 24 times 4. That's going to give you negative 4 times 24. It's going to give you negative 96, and that's negative, right? Because Mr. Divmold says negative times a positive. Oops, I did not draw his face correctly here. Negative times a positive is negative. And just to kind of remind you right here, negative, negative, positive, we've got a negative, and we're multiplying it by a positive, right? So that's a negative and a positive 4, and the answer is negative. So be aware of that, please. Make sure that you recognize how to use Mr. Divmold. The answer is negative, sorry, right there, okay? All right, so let's go look at number 4. Try to see if you can, actually, let me do number 4 with you as well, and then we'll have you guys do 5 and 6 on your own. So number 4, well, the first thing you want to think about is, how do I get this 5 over 7 to turn into 1? Because we want a by itself. So we want 1 times a. So when you think about this, how can you get 5 over 7 to turn into 1? Well, we just did this up here, right? We said if you have a number and you're multiplying it by its reciprocal, it's going to become 1. And that was the definition in a way that we came up with. So if I go ahead and I multiply, right, 7 over 5, that's the reciprocal of 5 over 7, right? 7 over 5, that becomes 1 because these cross simplify. Well, whatever I do on one side, I have to do the other. So I'm going to multiply 7 over 5 to the other side as well. Now be careful with this because I'm writing it in a different color, but you might not have that. So I would circle these if at all possible so you know what you're doing here. So this is going to make all that this cancel out. The sevens across cancel out diagonally, and the 5s diagonally cancel out. Of course, that's 1, and we already established that that would, because they were reciprocals of each other. So great. So this becomes 1a is equal to 20 times 7 over 5. I notice right away that 20 and 5 can cross simplify. So that goes into 5 goes into 5 once. It goes into 24 times, right? So then 7 times 4 is 28. And there you have it. So A is equal to, let's like write this down nicely here. Better to keep everything neater here, 28, and A is equal to 28. Okay, so when you are looking at problems like this, be careful, use the techniques that we use so that you don't have too much trouble with it. Okay, now we're going to let you guys do the number 5 and 6 on your own, and we'll come back to it in a second. Okay, so what I did here was I multiplied -3 by x over -3 to cross simplify the -3's here. So opposite of division is multiplication. X is being, or -3 is being divided by x, so, or into x, so that we're multiplying -3, so we can cross simplify. On this side, we do the same thing on the other side. So -4 times -3 is positive 12. Don't forget Mr. Divmo. Don't confuse that with the song that we sang last week. For number 6, we're multiplying, just like we did on the previous problem, the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3 over 8 is 8 over 3. When we do that, you can see that you're going to cross simplify here. All these cancel out. 8 and 8 across cancels out, and we know that that becomes 1. All of this turns into 1. So great. So then what happens here? So we're multiplying 8 over 3 on this side, and cross simplify. -15 and 3 go into each other. So that goes into, 3 goes into 3 once, goes into -15, -5 times. And so we have -5 times 8 that we're looking at. -5 times 8 is -40. And remember, that's Mr. Divmult again, so you could use that. And you're multiplying negative by a positive, so your answer is negative. Okay, so it looks like hopefully you understood the whole concept of how to simplify and cross simplify. And we're going to go to part 1 of review next, and then part 2. Thank you.